My brother lived with my grandmother when he was younger, because in the city his asthma flared up a lot. While living with her, he attended a private school and he became friends with a boy that my grandmother did not like at all. She said that he was trouble. Most of this was based on the village that he was from and the superstitions that had spread about them. Shape-shifting, witchcraft, and human sacrifice being amongst some of the rumors. Soon enough, he asked my brother to skip school to go swimming in the most dangerous body of water in town. This was back home in Africa. My dad had bought my grandmother a home in front of the main road, mostly because he wanted her to be comfortable and because she could travel easily from the farm to her home and then back to the farmer's market to sell livestock, vegetables, and barter with other farmers. I always loved her home because on the other side of the road was a hill that slid into a cliff. It showed a beautiful view. It was a circular cliff, and I'd never seen anything like it again. It was literally a circle, a smooth-looking circle, with several waterfalls coming in, creating a whirlpool effect in the center. It ran off into rivers and freshwater streams, so people used it for water, fishing, and cleaning. However, because I guess it was so amazingly beautiful, so odd, so uncommon and frightening, the stories the locals had for it were crazy. It took on a life of its own. Mermaids, witches, the devil himself, and ritual sacrifices. During summer break, I would stand on the deck of our home in the mornings just listening to the water rush. It was so weird, something so eerie and beautiful in the middle of, well, the village. The fog would rise and meet us up on the side of the road. It was a haunting scene. This is where the boy wanted to go cliff diving, and my brother said no, as he didn't want the caning of a lifetime. It was rare for my grandmother to cane us, but when we endangered ourselves, our lives, she would. He had been punished earlier that year for playing a stupid game. The game was stick your hand in the cobra hole and pray that it is empty. So he declined. The memory of welts was still fresh on his mind, and the fact that he could not swim was also another strong reason. So his friend went alone. He dove from one of the smaller cliffs and cracked his skull open on a dive, and he died. They found him the next day. He was unrecognizable after 24 hours in the water. This is when it gets scary. My brother mourned his friends as they were best friends, and school was cancelled. 2 nights after the funeral, my grandmother caught him leaving the house. She watched him open the front door at 12 a.m. in confusion. She called to him, and he said, "Yes." She said, "What are you doing out of bed?" She was getting ready to serve up a hell of a caning. And he said, "I'm going to the waterfall to play with Petran." And he started to go. She said that the statement scared her so much that she was frozen for a while before she ran after him. And when she caught him, he was in the driveway walking for the cliffs. And his eyes were open, but he looked right through her. The minute she picked him off the floor, he went crazy. They had to tie him to the bed with a sheet and watch him. He was still asleep. He did this for 2 weeks. She spoke to my dad, and he, being a psychiatrist, diagnosed that it was sleepwalking. He said that he was going to come and get him because it wasn't safe near the falls, especially if the act was reoccurring. Then one night, after she got used to tying him to the bed and she knew that he wasn't going anywhere, she went to get a drink. She came back and poof, he was gone. She ran to the door. It was open and she swears she looked down the road and she saw my brother. The bedsheet was still wrapped around him, but the other end was being pulled in a straight horizontal line. And she couldn't see who it was that was doing the pulling because of all the fog. She said she started screaming and running down the driveway, and she got to him before he ever made it over the barrier on the other side of the road. She grabbed him, looking for the person who had been dragging him, but the sheet was on the floor by that point in time. My grandmother was near hysteria, so much so that she woke the whole neighborhood, and they spent the night praying. I believe the house was blessed by a priest. My brother was prayed upon as well. They continued to do this all night. My dad came in the morning and he retrieved him and took him back to the city. I don't think it was sleepwalking, because my brother said that his friend never stopped coming. But we no longer live back home, or near the falls for that matter. So he stopped trying to take him, but he still pays him visits. Ever since, my brother has always been sensitive to the supernatural. But that is a story for another time. Hi guys, we want to thank you again for subscribing, listening to our stories, and letting us share the tales of others with you. We hope that you enjoy this new story and make sure to like and subscribe for more. It's almost that time of year again, and we have so much in store for you. Make sure that you get the notification when we post. You can also follow us on other platforms such as our Instagram as well as our Anchor in order to see when new stories are posted.